Welcome to episode number 2 of Kate's Take. Today we will explore the topic of joy. In particular, how we can live the most joyous life possible by actively being joy seekers. This week's theme is one that I've been committed to for several months. Before I could start my quest for joy, I first had to wrap my head around the difference between happiness and joy. Happiness is an emotion that we can feel quickly and easily when something moves us to a state of contentment or bliss. Joy goes one step further. Joy is something that is rooted in us. It's an inner contentment or a soul-level happiness that goes beyond a fleeting emotion. One comparison I like to use to help distinguish between happiness and joy is to think about joy as those friends you're able to sit with for hours, never saying a word, but just being content in each other's company. To help steer my path towards joy, I purchased a book called Joy Seeker. Let me just grab the book. This is the book. It's a book by Shannon Kaiser, and I purchased it back in the spring. And then unfortunately, life kind of fell apart shortly after that, and the book sat on my shelf collecting dust while I went into survival mode. But that period is behind me, so I dusted the book off and started learning about how to move from getting by with moments of happiness to seeking my best life, one filled with joy. This time of year really lends itself to joy and joy seeking, and I intend to make it the most joyous holiday season ever. What I love about the book is that it focuses you on looking inward rather than outward for joy. In all honesty, I was still wrapping my head around the concept that joy wasn't to be found in external things. And I like that the book forced me to examine me rather than expecting external forces to be the source of joy in my life. I still wasn't entirely sure I could experience true joy simply by living a life where I'm following and realizing my own dreams, a life where I'm living in accordance with my true self. But I was ready to give it a shot. And not surprisingly, the Bible agrees with Shannon Kaiser's book and thinks it's on the right track. In the Bible, it said that joy is responding to trials and challenges external to us with an inner contentment and fulfillment, because we know that God will use these experiences to better ours and others' lives in His work. We have to make the choice to respond to these circumstances with joy and have the confidence that God has a purpose for it. I'm not saying this is easy, folks, but I'm certainly willing to do the hard work to reach a life of true joy. So what does it mean to be a joy seeker? Well, it means regaining hope and faith in yourself, others, and the world, and living with purpose, passion, and freedom. Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, luckily, the book gives you some great guidance on how to move down that path. The Joy Seeker's Way has 3 pillars for success. 1, let go of expectations and be fully in the journey. 2, trust ourselves and life more fully and openly from our hearts. 3, see our life as an unfolding creative adventure. Throughout the book, there are little joy jaunts that take you through exercises to help move you along your own personal joy journey. I'm going to lead you through one of these exercises or joy jaunts today. So get a pen and notepad, a piece of paper ready while I talk a little bit more about the book. One of the themes that runs through Joy Seeker is the notion of connection and how important connection is with ourselves and others in the pursuit of joy. I love that point, and I love that it resonates so much with what Westminster has focused on in the past few years. Connection is so important, and feeling connected can bring so much both internal and external joy to our lives. The book states, at the core of it's about connecting to your heart and giving yourself the permission to live a life that is true to yourself on every level. I've learned a lot over the years about giving myself permission to be me, and I know when I do, I always end up happier. But to do that, we first have to let go of the expectations we feel are upon us and recognize that we are enough. All right, back to our first joy jaunt. It's an exercise called Me Matters Time. When we think about connecting with ourselves, it's important to identify what makes you feel good. What do you enjoy doing? Who do you enjoy being around? take your pen and paper, and you can pause me if you want, and make a list of the times you felt you're at your best self. Think about what you're doing and where you are. All right, get those things written down. Okay, have you got a few things? All right, well for me, I think immediately of nature and being outside on the trails, walking and talking with a friend. I think about playing cards with my mom and dad, the shared laughter, discussion, and banter that accompanies those games, and how much I like spending time with my parents. Finally, I'll add, I love when I'm writing, both my personal journal or pieces like this. I can get lost in it for hours because I really like thinking through ideas and creating pieces of writing that people can relate to. I know these are the times that I'm in my element, and I feel great. I'm not pretending to be anything but myself. I'm open and I'm free with my thoughts and words. All right, so now that you have these activities written down and identified, you need to add them to your schedule so you're making them a priority every day, week, month, whatever works for you. I've done this by setting a weekly Sunday afternoon card date with my mom and dad, committing to Kate's Take and volunteering to do other opportunities to write and share my work with others for church services or other things, and planning weekend walking dates on local trails with friends. Knowing I have this Me Matters time to look forward to ensures that I can experience some great time each week when I'm at my best, feeling great and loving life. You get the picture. I'll challenge you all to add one of your Me Matters activities to your schedule this week and commit to giving yourself the time to be your best self more often. Another important aspect of finding joy for me has been learning to let go. Let go of grudges, let go of things that aren't making me feel happy and fulfilled, and let go of people in my life who don't make me feel like I can be my best self. And this last one is not easy, especially if those people are family members or friends you've had for years. But taking a vacation from someone for your own happiness can be one of the smartest things you can do. Surrounding yourself with positive people who make you feel loved, appreciated, and valued is the best way to build on your inner joy. These are the people who love you for who you are. They allow you to be your authentic self. They let you practice your best life and cheer you on along the journey. Once you feel that higher sense of contentment in yourself, you can invite those other people back into your life. Oftentimes you'll be really surprised at how the relationship changes when you're no longer trying to meet their expectations. So how can you tell if you're making progress on your quest for joy? Well, I'll tell you a little story that speaks to how I know I've moved forward in my own journey. I went through a really rough period in my previous work with a female colleague. I can reflect back now to say that we were not set up for success as a partnership at the time, and it felt like she was out to get me, and we had constant run-ins and conflict. We had several pleasant encounters over the years we worked together, and I can honestly say when I was around her, I acted in the worst version of me. When we no longer had to work together, I disengaged entirely, avoiding her at all costs. And when the pandemic hit and I lost my job, she reached out with support, and I wanted no part of it. I was ready to move on, and I felt her note was probably coming from a place of gloating versus care. As it turns out, she was also let go from the organization shortly after that as a result of COVID. And since then, she's reached out twice more. The first time to check in, as she said, and more recently with a much longer note that included an acknowledgement of our past relationship and the conflicts between us, and what felt like a need to make amends with me. I sat on this for a few days, thinking through whether to respond or not. I had truly moved on from EMCO, and any past resentment with her was not something I thought about anymore. I found contentment in my new post-EMCO life that I really hadn't been experiencing while I was working there. Perhaps I would have acted differently and been more kind and open to working with her if I was truly happy with me. Now that I was in a different place internally, why couldn't I offer kindness back and acknowledge that, yeah, we had a terrible working relationship, but that chapter's closed, and I've made the choice to leave it in the past. So I wrote her back, thanking her for her acknowledgement of what had happened and reciprocating that, saying that I had moved on and offering that we start again, getting to know the real versions of each other without work or past experience between us. I shared about my new job, my family and community projects, and opened the invitation to continue communicating and getting to know one another. Whether she chooses to respond or not is out of my control, and it really doesn't matter a great deal to me if I'm honest. I know I've reached a new level of inner contentment to be able to forgive and forget, and I hope the same for her. There's no question that I'm still working on exploring joy and seeing how much more joyful I can become. I love supporting others to find their more contented state, and I often learn something about myself in those discussions. And just think, if we all found our inner joy, we'd be one powerful force. We'd be singing aloud and proud, "Joy to the world." On that note, pun intended, keep on joy seeking and feel free to reach out and let me know how you're doing or what you've discovered along the way. Thanks for tuning in to episode 2 of Kate's Take. See you next week when we talk about love.